How do you fill out a check? The first thing that you need to do is write the date. You can either write it like this, or if you prefer to write it out in words, you could do that as well. Either way is acceptable. It's just your choice. Your choice. All right, I'm going to make my check out to Mr. McKenzie because he fixed the brakes on my car. So where it says pay to the order of, you write the check out to either the person or the place that is receiving the check. In this case, it is Mr. McKenzie. He's ripping me off, so he's making me pay $75 for his fixing my brakes. So I'm going to write the amount in numbers to the right of the dollar sign. You need to make sure that the first number is right up against the dollar sign so that somebody else can't sneak in another number and make the check for more than it should be. On the longer line underneath Mr. McKenzie, you are going to write out the amount in words. So my $75, I'm going to come down here and write it out in words. 75, and because there's 0 cents, I'm going to write it as 00 over 100. The reason I drew the line at the end is again so that no one can sneak in any other amount and so that the check is worth what it's supposed to be for. At the bottom of the check where it says for, you can write a little memo about what the check is for. In this case, since Mr. McKenzie fixed my brakes, I'm just going to write brakes. This is an optional part of the check. You do not have to fill that out for the bank to take it. The last line on the right is for your signature. This needs to be done in cursive. So I would go ahead and sign my name. The other numbers on the check, in the upper right-hand corner, is the check number. Your name and usually your address and phone number are to the left. And the numbers at the bottom represent your checking account number. And then this is the check number, the same as up here. This is an example of a check register. Lots of people use check registers to keep track of their money and so that they know at all times how much money they have in their account. Whenever you write a check, you would use your check register to record that. Whenever you receive money from someone or from your job, you would also include that on your check register so that, again, you know how much money you have at all times. A typical check register looks like this. In the upper left-hand corner is going to be the check number, then the date. The transaction description is the person or place that you wrote the check to. The payment is the amount that you paid somebody. Deposit would be the amount that you were given. And the balance is the amount of money you have left, or in other words, the amount of money you have left to spend in your account. So, the first thing I'm going to write here, we're going to give ourselves a beginning balance. Well, let's pretend that you just had a birthday and your grandma gave you $200. So I'm just going to write beginning balance, and I'm going to put the date, which we'll say is April 18th. We're not going to have a check number right now because this isn't, I'm just writing that this is a beginning balance. We didn't write a check. And under deposit, I'm going to put $200 because Grandma was very generous and gave us $200 for your birthday. So under balance, that's the amount I have right now, which is $200. So then, my brakes broke in my car, and Mr. McKenzie offered to fix my brakes for me. So in the previous example, we wrote him a check for $75. So I need to record that on my check register. The check number, again, is the number in the upper right-hand corner of the check. In our case, it was check 101. The date should be the date that you wrote the check, which was April 18th. Again, for transaction description, that's who I wrote the check to, which in this case was Mr. McKenzie. So I'm going to fill in his name there. Then I need to determine whether I record the $75 under payment or deposit. Did I have to pay Mr. McKenzie or did he pay me? If you said that we had to pay Mr. McKenzie, you are correct. That would be a payment. So under payment, I'm going to record $75. This dotted line here basically serves as a decimal point. So I'm going to write the 75 to the left of the dotted line, and to the right, the change, which was 0 cents. So $75. Now, under balance, I'm not going to write $75 because I don't have $75 left. I had $200. I paid him $75. So either on another sheet of paper, or you could use a calculator, I would take the $200 that I had minus the 75, and I have left $125. That amount is the amount that I would fill in under balance. So I would do 125 again to the left of the dotted line and zeros to the right because I have $125 left. And you would continue the check register just like we were doing. Any other checks or payments you would record under payment. If you received any money, you would put the description of where you received it, and then you would put that under deposit, and then instead of subtracting it out, you would add it to the balance because you received that money.